What's up, guys? Hello. Get some people funneling in here. Sorry, guys. My lighting is awful. It's absolutely awful today. One of my lights that I usually have up here, right up here that you can't normally see, is not working. So I have this other light back here, and no matter what I do, it's either too harsh or too dull. I know this is boring and not why you're here, but I'm just letting you know why it seems a little like dim and strange behind me. I was messing with the lighting for about 15 minutes, and finally I was like, I don't care. Nobody's here for the lighting. So yeah, let's see. What is up, Real Jigsaw JP? It was good. I had a good Christmas and a good New Year. Like every other year, I feel like they just go by way too fast, though. I always say Christmas is like that day that you, especially if you have, kids or a kid, like, I do. Christmas is that one day a year that you work all the other days of the year leading up to it to make it like as perfect as possible. And then no matter what, it just is like over with in like a flash. So what's up, Darth Ghostface? Hey man, was hoping for some more stew in the second team. Yeah, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna talk about all this stuff. What's up, Josh? Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Everybody's in here. What's up, Samir? Any word from Fun World? You know what? I will address that, actually. I do have word from Fun World. The word I have from Fun World is that on Friday, this Friday, I will be doing another live stream where I will be able to reveal a lot more about the 30th anniversary mask. I just found that out this morning. And yeah, I can share that will be happening on Friday. Yes, Jigsaw JP. Yes. Tim is also doing a stream on Friday. So basically, I guess I'll just address this before we get into the trailer, because I had a feeling people would be asking about that, which I have no problem with, by the way. I'm not complaining, just explaining. Anybody that doesn't know, or even people that do know, like this whole 30th anniversary mask thing kind of was it just kind of came out of nowhere, as far as like it wasn't supposed to leak that early. So basically what I can say is I've known for about the past 2 years that Fun World has been working on this project, this idea. I was involved in a lot of the talks. There was a lot going on at the time that was kind of like, should we do it? How would we do it? What's the best way to do it? What are the main things that people would want to have? Like, what features would they want? There was a lot of stuff, and then obviously they had to get all the legal stuff figured out. Because it is a slightly different variation of the mask. So it's kind of, there's I don't want to talk about the legal stuff because I don't know anything about it. I just know there was a lot of stuff that had to fall into place, but it was being worked on for at least 2 years. And that was that I was, informed and involved, as well as Anthony Massey, who we run Beyond Killer Games together, did the stream documentary. He was also a part of all of this. And yeah, basically the last I had heard is that it was kind of like put on the back burner because of some things going on with the tariffs and stuff. It was kind of like there was a lot of uncertainty, as you guys remember, when they hit China with like 200%, 2000% tariff, whatever it was. And so it was kind of like, well, that was the last that I had heard, was when all that happened. It was kind of like, well, everything's just kind of paused for right now because the tariff situation leaves a lot of uncertainties, and that's putting it mildly. So basically, I always knew it was coming. I just didn't know when, and I didn't know exactly what the absolute final product would be. I had seen several, probably 3, maybe 4 different variations, prototypes along the way that were, manufactured differently. The, different ways of trying to make this certain mask. And so I knew it was coming. I just didn't know when. And all of a sudden, as you guys know, it just kind of leaked out. Like, the 2026 catalog leaked early. A retailer leaked it, and all of a sudden, there's pictures of a Gen 1 mask saying, Ghostface 30th anniversary mask. And now it's all over the internet, and everybody's asking all these questions. And, there are questions that really I don't have, the exact answers to at the time that leaked, because again, I was involved along the way, and I saw things and I was told things. However, because it was kind of placed on hold, I didn't really know what the final, I guess you'd say, product. I didn't really know what the specs, so to speak, of the final product was going to be, because it just kind of came out of nowhere. It was like, oh, it leaked. It's in the catalog. Here we go. And then everybody just kind of assumed, like, well, it means it's finished. And, what are the details, and where is there a picture? But again, that wasn't the case. It's still being worked on. But yeah, I didn't have answers for that stuff. I really didn't, because it was like, well, I don't know. I've seen several different versions done several different ways as prototypes, trying to nail this thing down perfectly, trying to figure out the best way to do it. So I had no idea what, if anything, they had, decided on finally as the final version. And I don't even know that, that has been figured out yet. We'll find that out Friday. But anyways, the reason I'm saying all this is to address the thing with Tim. When that leaked, I don't know what time it was here, but I think, I'm just assuming by the time difference, Tim was, he's in the UK. I think he was in bed and didn't even know it leaked. So, I'm sure he's getting bombarded in his messages, and I was. And then, there were all the people on the groups saying, like, oh, it's fake. It's fake. Funworld would never do this. Funworld would never do this. So basically all I did was come in and say, I can tell you it's not fake, but I can't tell you anything else. Like, it's definitely not fake. That I can say. I can verify that it's not fake. It's legit from the catalog. And yes, Funworld's been working on this idea for quite some time. So it's definitely not fake. That was basically all I said about it the night that it leaked. And then from there, all of a sudden, I'm seeing other people, like, on YouTube that night going live on YouTube, or making other posts in the group saying, like, well, it's real because Nate is behind it, and he's the one making sure it happens and all that. And it's like, no, I didn't. And if it came across that way, that's not what I meant. I did not mean like, oh, this is only happening because of me and it's my involvement only that, no, my involvement was extremely minimal to say the least. But I was involved in a small way and I did get to see things along the way and I knew that it was real. So that's why I came out and said, no, guys, I can't, I don't even know. I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be, but it is real. It's the real deal. It's not fake. That I can confirm 100%. So then the following morning, I had a message, assuming after Tim got up and, saw the leak and saw all the messages that he was probably getting. And he had sent me a message asking, he's like, I can't find like the exact post, but he's like, I saw you, people were messaging me saying that you leaked something about a new Gen 1. And I was like, oh, whoa. Like, Tim wasn't like attacking me. He's just like, am I reading this right? People are saying that you leaked the new Gen 1 that's coming out. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, no. I was like, nope. I said a retailer leaked the catalog and the image got leaked, the placeholder image. And I said a lot of people had questions. And also a lot of people were calling BS. They were saying, oh, it's fake. Funworld would never do something like this. So I told Tim, I said, all I did was jump in to the, the various posts about it and said, guys, I can tell you for a fact it's not fake. That I can say for sure. I've known that they've been working on this for quite some time. It's not fake. That I can tell you. So I explained that to Tim, and he's like, okay, good. I understand. So then I messaged RJ separately and basically just said, hey, if you haven't seen this leaked and people have a bajillion questions, what, if anything, can I say? Even if it's nothing, if you want me to just say, hey, I can't say anything, I won't say it. All I did is confirm that it wasn't a fake. And, he confirmed he was fine. He's like, yep, nope. He's like, someone leaked the catalog early. That image is just a placeholder. As far as what you can tell people right now, nothing, basically. He's like, nothing. There's nothing to tell. We're really still working on it. So just tell people to be patient. So that's what I got from RJ. And that's what I did the video. I don't even remember what day it was. The last time I did the live stream, maybe it was last week sometime, right? Yeah. I don't know. Time goes crazy anymore, right? So that's when I did that live stream to kind of say like, hey, what do we know? What don't we know? Well, we know it's real and that's about it. And I was told directly from RJ that I can tell you that it's real and that as of now, there's no other details and just be patient because it wasn't meant to leak already. Like that's why there's no other information or photos or actual photos or whatever. So that I did that video and then I saw maybe like a day after that Tim had made a post saying that he was doing a video on Friday. Or I don't even think he said what day it was. I think he just said that he would have a video coming soon where he would release more details about the mask. Because he also talked to RJ and he asked the questions that everybody wanted to know. Well, and again, I'm not mad at Tim. Tim and I are great friends, but I didn't ask RJ any of those details when I talked to him because he blatantly told me that there's no details to tell yet. It's being worked on. Tell people to be patient. So it wasn't that I spoke to him and just didn't ask. I just said, hey, what, if anything, can I say? And he said, basically nothing. Tell him it's real, be patient, whatever. So that was that. And then I was informed that this Friday that Tim and I both would be able to do videos on details of the mask, and that we would both be getting the information, and that, you know, Friday we can basically reveal that information to everybody. So I haven't spoken with Tim since that email went out. And I, you know, obviously I know he already has his scheduled. So no, I'm not planning on if anybody's wondering, I'm not planning on doing a stream about the mask details at the same time that Tim's doing his. So yeah, I obviously plan on speaking to him at some point before Friday to figure out, you know, hey, how do you want to do this? Like, you know, we do have some of the same kind of followers and people that watch our channels, but you know, we also have, you know, you have people that Tim has people that don't watch this channel, and I'm sure I have people that don't watch Tim's channel. So like, hey, let's make this work. Like, however, so that's the long 15-minute answer to people being like, whoa, wait, you're doing a video Friday? I thought Tim was doing the video Friday and his was a thing from Fun World. Yeah, we both are basically, and it's both okayed by Fun World. The information will come directly from Fun World on both of our videos. And no, I have no intention to do my video or live stream, whatever I choose to do. I have no intention of doing that during Tim's. Like, I don't want them to, you know, battle each other, basically. So that's that. Let's see. Yes. Yep. Tim's doing a live stream Friday as well. Are you going to talk about the new Father Death costume as well? I don't know. Maybe. All right. That Nate guy on YouTube is here. My man. Awesome. Love your videos, man. Thanks for tuning into mine. And yeah, this trailer's freaking awesome. I can't wait to talk about it. What I do want to know, though, is will it say Fun World Dev on the chin or not? Again, something else I don't know. I really don't know at this point. Do I know who has the Screen Use Subway mask? No. If I had to guess, probably somebody that worked on the movie would be my guess, is where a lot of those ended up. Will we start seeing cheaper Gen 1s now? I don't think so. We talked about that on the last stream I did. I don't think it's really going to affect the market at all. I mean, that'd be great if they were cheaper. You know, it'd be easier to get an original and cheaper to get an original. I'm not saying I don't want them to be cheaper. But I think no matter what, there's always going to be that, you know, group of collectors that they want an original Gen 1 and they are willing, you know, obviously to pay out the ass for it. So exactly. Took the words out of my mouth, Jigsaw. There will always be a vintage mass market. Exactly. Let's see. What else? I heard Wade and Joe played a big part in getting as far as it did so far. I don't know what's true, though. Well, I don't know what I can say and what I can't. You know, I don't want to speak for Wade and Joe, and I don't want to speak for, you know, Fun World. So, you know, I don't quite know how to answer that. You know, if I had the okay from Fun World and the okay from Wade and Joe, I would absolutely say what I know. I mean, it's not anything like, you know, it's not like some big crazy story, but again, I don't I don't want to speak for them. I'm not saying they weren't involved. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I just don't want to speak for them because, again, I don't know what they want out there and what they don't want out there. And I'm talking about both Fun World and Wade and Joe. What is Tim's channel called? Ghostface UK, right? It's Ghostface UK. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it ghostface.uk? Is his YouTube channel as well? Yeah, somebody that's listening that knows for sure what it is, correct me if I'm wrong. I just type in Ghostface UK on YouTube, and I find it every time. So, like, if he's doing a live and I want to tune in, I just type in Ghostface UK and it comes right up. What's up, Casket Crew? I just want the Gen 1 remix just to make an accurate 96 cosplay. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people want it for. Do I think the mask will be hard to find this year? I don't know. I have no idea. We don't know even what the release date is or the order quantities that, you know, retailers are actually ordering. We don't know any of that. So maybe we'll find out. Okay, there. Thank you for the correct. Yeah. Ghostface and the knots. Yes. Now I remember. Yes, that's absolutely. However, like I said, I'm old school. I always think of his message board and his website. So I always think of Ghostface UK. And again, if you type in Ghostface UK on YouTube, it's like the first thing that comes up. Did they use ultra white mouth inserts for the masks in 6, or was it custom ones? You mean like custom inserts or custom masks? You mean custom inserts? No, it was ultra whites again. They basically did more or less. They did exactly what they did in 5 for the masks in 6, more or less. I saw the aged mask that Fun World auctioned off for the Brooke Jackman auction when they did the aged Scream 6 Ghostface mask. I got to see that like inside and out, and yeah, it was an ultra white like mouth shoved down in there and a little bit of something there to kind of secure it a little bit better. But I will say, guys, and then we'll get into the Scream 7 teaser here. I will say that it's going to be crazy when we're able to talk about the Scream 7 masks, because I know like all you guys already are aware that, you know, they kind of airbrushed them a little bit to make them look a little bit more shadowy. You know, obviously they wanted to bring the shine down, but you know, it really gives it almost like a grayish look, like a light gray. I know everybody was already aware of that, but I've recently been able to see the inside of several masks that were used in Scream 7, and this will have to be a separate video someday when there's more information out there. But what I can tell you is, holy crap, talk about a Frankenstein creation. There's a lot of shit going on inside those masks. Like, wow. Probably the most heavily modified Ghostface masks I've seen for any of the movies ever. I mean, it's wild, completely insane what they did inside those masks. Let's see. Important question. Do you have information on what Ghostface boots are in Scream 7. Also, can you confirm the Scream 7 mask? I don't know the boots in 7 yet. I have no idea. I've tried to, get answers on that, but I don't really have any direct contacts with anybody like that did that part of the movie. I have some contacts with people that worked on Scream 7, but not anyone that was like, oh, I was the wardrobe person for Ghostface and I did the boots, But I think it'll be like every other Scream movie. I think we'll have an answer soon enough. If not, right away, shortly after the movie comes out, once we get a good shot at the boots, which I'm sure we will. It'd be like one of the first times in the series that there's not a good shot of the boots. I know with Scream 5, I revealed before the movie came out what the boots were, because I was told directly by Emily Gunshire exactly what they were, and I wanted to make sure I bought a pair. And then with Scream 6, they figured it out. I think Nick Meese was the first one to figure it out, or at least he was the first one to tell. It was like seconds after the first trailer for Scream 6 drops, and I'm watching it on YouTube, and I did make a mental note, like when it shows that shot of Ghostface walking through the bodega, you see the boot shot. I was like, oh, gotta remember to go back to that and check out those boots. Literally, like before I got done watching the freaking trailer, which I think I watched it 5 minutes after it dropped. Right after, I'm in the middle of watching it, and Nick's already messaging me like, found him. So I know we figured all that out pretty quickly, but unfortunately, there's not been any shots, clear shots of the boots yet, so we don't know. Ultra white inserts in the Scream 7 mask, no. But like I said, talk about a Frankenstein creation. There is a lot going on inside of those masks. Like, I couldn't believe it. Mine, bro. You have no idea how crazy it is. That's my guess as well, Samir. They're like, they're not going to. A lot of people think that productions intentionally go out of the way to find things that are hard to get, and it's just not true. I understand that a lot of productions do use, but one of the things that with clothing and wardrobe is like, if you have to understand that these productions, they're buying this clothing way ahead of time before they even start filming the movie, because now they're doing like costume tests. We're trying to figure out what's going to look best on camera for the character. Well, then they decide on something and they buy like all they can find of it once it's been decided. So now you've got like, and obviously places make more than like 50 shirts. I'm not saying that, but it's like now you've got like 50 of this shirt that's probably been out for a while, purchased by production, wherever they're buying it from. So now they're sold out. And then, they go through pre-production, they go through production, they go through post-production. Then by the time the movie comes out and everybody sees it and everybody's like, oh, I love this character, I want his shirt, how do I find it? Well, by the time you find it, someone finds it, it's this, how fast clothing is like, oh, it's old season, get rid of it. That's last season's style or whatever. That's last season's design. Again, by the time these movies come out, that clothing, it could have been last season at the time they bought it. And that's why they bought it, because they were able to get like 50 of them really cheap. So then it's like a year later, a year after that or more, all of a sudden people are like, I want this, but why do they always pick something that's not easily obtainable? Well, it's not that, in my opinion. I think it's just, by the time the movie comes out, everything that's being worn in it is kind of, old news as far as, fashion and, clothing stores and companies are concerned. So you're basically already looking for an you're already looking for an outdated piece of clothing by the time the movie comes out. But I don't know how I got off on that sidetrack, but yeah, Samir, I think you're right. I mean, again, they're not intentionally looking for things that are hard to come across, and they'll very more than likely just go to like Doc Martens website and buy whatever the current model of boot is that's all black, that doesn't have any of the like stitching or the yellow stitching or whatever. That's my guess. Could be wrong. They might not be Doc Martens this time. I don't know. But that's just my guess. That's probably what they did. It's the easiest thing to do. Do I prefer Ghostface with brown or black boots? Honestly, to me, it doesn't matter. And the reason why is because, the brown boots that they used in Scream 1 were so incredibly dark brown that they show up as black on film. Now, if you do a little like, there's some perfect like screen grabs, like for example, when Ghostface, like when the costume comes down out of the bathroom, like when he's putting it on the bathroom stall, or when he's attacking Sidney and he's kneeling down and the boot's like, right there in the frame with everything else. You can do like, if you mess around with the contrast of that still, you can very much spot that, okay, the robe is black for sure. The jeans are a kind of faded black, but a different shade of black, and that the boots appear to be a much different shade of black or dark brown. But I guess to me it doesn't matter, like I said, just because the way they filmed that movie, those dark brown boots in the few shots that you actually see them in, they show up looking almost black. So I don't think it matters, but I mean, obviously for like cosplay and stuff, yeah, I would prefer black boots. Personally, I don't own a pair of Reebok box. I've never been able to find one. Corey and I identified them, but we've never been able to find a pair ourselves. But hey, other people have, so that's awesome. Scream 6 boots are my favorite, but they don't sell them. Those are those like tactical ones, right? I have a pair of those. Yeah, they're the one. I don't. What's different about those? Why am I drawing a blank? They're like tactical, right? They're more like yeah, they're more like, they're not all leather, right? The Scream 6 boots, they're kind of, I can see them in my head. I have a pair. Like, I just can't, I'm trying to remember like the biggest difference about them. Yes, that's it. Yes. Yeah, leather, but there's canvas all over them. Yeah, so they're more bendable. I'm trying to remember. I think I wore them to the premiere of Scream 6 when we rented the theater out. And I'm pretty sure that was the only time I wore them, because I was like, man, these hurt my feet so bad. Now, I'm not saying they're necessarily uncomfortable boots. Maybe they are, but obviously you're generally supposed to break boots in before you wear them. Well, I didn't. But I do recall them hurting my feet versus the Scream 5 boots that I have, which were fine right out of the box. But those are a more standard Doc Marten for sure. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Yeah, exactly. Yep, because that's what I remember when I first saw that shot in the trailer. I was like, oh, those are different. Like I knew immediately. I was like, that's not the same boots they used in 5. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. Like I'm not a big boot wearer. I used to be. But you get older, and not to sound like, oh, we're all so old, but we're, none of us are getting any younger. Even you young kids out there watching, you're getting older too. No, as you get older, it's just, don't get me wrong, there's some comfortable ass boots out there, but I don't know. If you ask me, it just, the older I get, the more I'm like, I want something on my foot that's light as can be, and comfy. I'm not trying to walk around with 10-pound boots on my feet. Like I feel like I'm walking around with bricks on them. So yeah, I like I said, I have boots. I have several pairs of boots, not just Scream boots. And I very rarely, if ever, wear them, just because it's, I don't know, like I said, the older I get, it's like, ugh, it's like they're such a pain to put on, and then they're so heavy compared to like sneakers or whatever else. So I don't know. I don't wear a lot of boots. The Scream 6 boots feel better when I wear them, even without. Maybe it was the 5 ones that hurt my feet then. I'm trying to remember now, because I for sure wore the 5 boots to the Scream 5 premiere as well, and I wore the 6 ones to the 6 premiere. So I'm guessing it was probably the 5s then, if that's what you're saying. I know people's feet are different, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that it was the 5 ones that were hurting. But let's check this out, guys. The Scream 7 TV spot. Now, what's going to be fun about this is it's only 30 seconds, guys. And we have seen, those of you who saw the original, the first trailer, the teaser trailer, they have a lot of what we see in here we've already seen before. And what I mean by that is not just footage from Scream 7 that was in the other trailer, but we're also getting footage, kind of little flashbacks, and it's only 30 seconds. So there's anybody that saw the last trailer and was like, okay, that's it, I'm done. I don't want to know anything else. If there's another trailer, I won't watch it. I understand what you mean, especially if they ever do a full trailer, which rumored to come on Thursday. And I totally get one to avoid that. I've been considering avoiding it, just because I felt like, in hindsight, the Scream 5 and 6, the full trailers, after you see the movie, you realize, oh wow, it gave away a lot. But what I'm saying is, anybody that's like, nope, I watched the first trailer, that was too much, I don't want to see anything else. You're really only getting 2 very small but significant new scenes, so to speak, in this teaser trailer. But as I said earlier, I believe it could possibly change everything about what we think about this movie. And that's not a spoiler, and I'm honestly not spoiling anything by saying that. So let's see. Let me see. Let me get back to this here. Okay. Sorry, guys, we got so off track talking about talking about all that other fun stuff that now I'm like, wait, what are we doing here? Okay, here we go. Let's share this. And all right, can everybody see this? Okay. All right, let's do it. Let's go.
Hello. Do you like scary movies? Surprise, Sydney. I've been planning this for a long time. Your daughter is the same age you were when this all started.
If you hurt
I'm not going to hurt her until you're here to see it. It's gonna be fun.
All right. Now, let me bear with me here 1 second, guys. It's starting something else. Hold on. Sorry.
Hello?
Do you like scary?
Give me 1 second, guys. I wanna freeze it on something. Okay. So I'm thinking this is what I'm talking about. This is what I mainly wanted to talk about that kind of changed my perspective of what this movie is going to be. And I honestly, I'll just say it right off the bat. I don't think it has anything to do with Stu. Nothing. Zero, zip, nothing. As far as like this extra stuff that we're talking about. But what we have here is we have a shot of a psychiatric hospital, which I find very interesting. Now, of course, a lot of people immediately was like, oh, it's Stu. That's where he's been this whole time. He's been at the psych ward. No. No. Absolutely not. Many reasons for that I won't get into. But let's just talk about what we can see. What do we see here? We see the psychiatric hospital, but what does it say? Fallbrook Psychiatric Hospital. So basically, this is the psychiatric hospital in the town, the small American town that Sydney has been living and hiding with her family and her daughter. So again, not trying to make fun of anybody here. Your opinion's your opinion, your guess is your guess, and that is absolutely fine. But my thought, if you think that the big twist is going to be that Stu has somehow secretly been alive in the psychiatric hospital in Fallbrook, where Sydney's been living for like 10 years, and like that's what happens, like he escapes or something. No way. There's no way. You know what? Honestly, if it said Woodsboro Psychiatric Hospital, I'd be like, well, guys, something really strange is going on. I still wouldn't think that Stu's still alive. But for the people that do, I'd say, hey, you know what? You got a chance there, maybe. But yeah, so it's Fallbrook Psychiatric Hospital. So this is a psychiatric hospital in this small town that Sydney now resides in with her family. So that I find interesting, because the question is, why are we seeing this psychiatric hospital in the movie? And furthermore, let's go another. Okay. We can assume now. I know there's tricks in editing, especially with a trailer. A lot of times they'll mash two scenes together and make it look like it's one scene when it's not. But let's just assume that this is what they are presenting it to us as, and this is the drawings of somebody inside of that psychiatric hospital, a resident in there. My question to you guys is, and I don't have this answer. I'm not being like, oh, let's see what you guys think. No, like I don't have the answer. I'm just as intrigued as you guys are. What do we make of these drawings? Who is this person, or who are these people in the drawings? They appear to all be female. And there appears to be a theme of what looks like a gash or a wound on the side of their face right here. At least that's what I'm seeing. And up in this, well, I don't know. Can you see my mouse? Can you guys see my mouse when I do this or no? No, you can't. Okay. If you look in the top, like right beside that huge picture of the girl that's really like there's a lot of shading on it. If you look to the left of that, that appears to be some sort of building or house. It almost looks like it could be a drawing of the front of Stu's house. Could be. And they've got all these drawings, and they're just very strange. And what I find interesting is that there's no. I see a lot of people commenting. Let's get to the comments before I get too crazy here. I think it might be a victim or someone who survived a Ghostface attack in Fallbrook. That's possible. There's a bird with the head of a female off to the left. Whole lot of writing next to it, but you can't read it. Yep, I see that for sure. And I didn't notice that there was a whole bunch of words to the left of it. I think the person Sydney is seeing in the asylum is someone who survived a Ghostface attack in Fallbrook. That's possible. Looks like a drawing of Stu's house on fire. Someone witnessed something and it royally fucked them up as a child. I'll leave it there. Yeah, it's just very like those are all great theories. You know, my first thought was, well, is this a new victim or an old victim? Is there a victim of any of the Scream movies that we know is still alive but is no longer a character? Like they're not they haven't appeared in any of the other sequels and they're still alive. That would be like traumatized and haunted by this. You know, I can't think of any off the top of my head. I would imagine, you know, Mark Kincaid, possible. Joel, the cameraman, we don't know what happened to him. Yeah, I guess there's a few, but it's for the most part. To me, I don't think it feels like it's going to be an older victim, like a victim from a past movie that's in the asylum. And yeah, I think you're right. I think it would have to be somebody that was attacked in Fallbrook. Whoever said that, Samir, I think you're right, because again, why would, whether it's victim or killer that's in this asylum, why would they be in the Fallbrook asylum, where in the town that Sydney lives in, that nobody's supposed to know that she lives in? You know, why would they be there and not in whatever asylum, like where, you know what I mean? They'd be where it happened at. So whether this was like an attack that happened a long time ago, and they've been in there forever, or, you know, something even recent, like maybe we get another attack early in the film where, you know, like Tara in Scream 5, maybe somebody gets attacked and doesn't get killed. Maybe that's them. Maybe that's a drawing of them. Like maybe Ghostface slashed their face or something, and now they're in there, you know. But again, that's why I'm thinking it has to be something recent, because if the person in the asylum is a past victim of Ghostface, of a Ghostface attack in Fallbrook, why the hell would Sydney move to Fallbrook if there was a Ghostface attack there ever? So yeah, I think, see what I mean? We're kind of breaking it down a little bit. And I think right now what makes the most sense is that it's likely a victim, somebody that was attacked early. Somebody probably gets attacked early in the movie and doesn't die, and they go right to this psych place. Now, the only thing that I argue against that is, you know, you see all the drawings they appear to be, they're all different like types of paper. It really makes it look like, oh, this person's been here for a long time. So yeah, I don't know. It's just this is why I said I think this trailer changes everything, because it really makes you think like, well, what is going on in this movie? And I'm not even talking about like, well, who's the killer? What's no, I really want, like, where does this fit into the movie? That's what I want to know. Where does this fit into the movie? Where does Sydney visiting what appears to be Sydney visiting somebody in a psychiatric hospital with these images on the wall, where does that fit into the movie? What role does it play? Let's see. That's her day 2 outfit. So this could be our cliffhanger ending. It could be, if there is one, but well, I don't know. I guess I wouldn't put it past them, but there's a part of me that feels like they would never show that. Like, if the last scene of the movie is Sydney walking into a, psychiatric hospital and visiting like a killer that survived or something, I highly doubt they'd show that much of it in the trailer, but you never know. Honestly, you never know. Could it be one of the opening victims, the girl at the beginning of the movie? I don't know, because again, those victims are, they're in Woodsboro. People that go to Stu's house and get attacked are, that's in Woodsboro. Unless they're from Fallbrook, but again, that would be a pretty big coincidence. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say that it could just be some mentally ill person that's obsessed with the real life murders, which is possible. But again, I just find it interesting that it's the Fallbrook. It's literally the psychiatric hospital in the town that Sydney is living in. So I find it crazy to think that there's either some crazy killer that's in the psychiatric hospital there that has something to do with all this, or it's like a past victim. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to talk about. I suspect that if we do in fact get the final full trailer on Thursday, that what we see in this TV spot was pulled from that trailer. I'm assuming. And I'm guessing that they very likely, the full trailer will expand a little bit on this. I'm not saying it'll give the answers that we're wondering or looking for. But I think if we do get the full trailer, that it's going to expand a little bit more on this, because I'm assuming they picked these clips right out of that. Let's see the other. Okay, yeah. So right there, if I'm not mistaken, that looks a lot like Gale, possibly right there behind Sydney. I can't say for sure, but definitely has the Courtney Cox. Definitely has the face for sure. And again, that's why I stressed, as you know, they take a lot of, they're notorious for this, they will take little clips here and there from random scenes and mash them together and make it look like one scene. So there's a complete chance that we're looking at 3 different clips from 3 different scenes here. They're not connected whatsoever. That psychiatric hospital shot could be from a completely different scene. The drawings up on the board, that could be one of the teenagers' bedrooms for all we know. And that could just be a regular hospital. Like, we really don't know. We don't know what we're looking at. But clearly the assumption is that or clearly the intent is that, hey, here's this psych hospital, and look, this is inside of it, all these drawings, and here's Sydney seemingly looking at these drawings very uneasy, and Gale walking out of the room. So it's either all part of the same scene, or that's the intent of them editing it together like that for the trailer. But regardless, I find it interesting. It seems like I didn't expect there to be a psychiatric hospital scene in this movie. So yeah, it's very interesting. Yep, it's Gale. That could be a connecting point. Heard a rumor about a VHS tape Gale finds. That'd be cool. See, that's why I love this. There's so many possibilities out there. But yeah, guys, those are like the three main shots. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because all these other ones we've seen from the original trailer. And I don't want to freeze frame through the rest of it, because I'm okay with people that do it. I understand why they do it, why they want to do it. But I'm not a big fan of the whole, like, at the end of a Scream trailer, there's usually like bam, 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 bam. There's usually like 10 quick cuts of random moments that just happen to have Ghostface with someone else. And I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice if you're freeze framing every one of those, because from my experience, typically if you see Ghostface in a scene with somebody, it ain't good for that person. I'm not saying that's always the case, of course it's not always the case, but a lot of the times it gives you a much better idea of like who lives and who doesn't, at the very least. So I choose not to do like the whole freeze frame thing, doing that. Let's see, I think there's a few more shots that are in there. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like there is absolutely some new shots in there, but again, they're quick cuts, and they appear to be Ghostface. I'll just say it, attacking people, characters, and I try to avoid pausing on that because I don't like to figure out ahead of time, like, oh, well, that person's probably dead, and that person's probably dead, and that person's probably dead before the movie even comes out. I understand it's hard to do, like you want to show the audience Ghostface is coming, and the average audience, again, they don't sit here and do what we're doing, so they don't even really notice what's going on in those like quick cuts, and they're certainly not going to go back and pause it and be like, who was that, who was that, who was that. I remember when the Scream 5 trailer came out, and there was a lot of freeze framing going on for that one, and a lot of videos and posts about it. And somebody, I think it was really quick after it came out, somebody had figured out that when it shows that quick cut of shot of the knife being raised, just like when Billy's about to stab Sydney at the end of Scream 1, somebody had already figured out, like, oh, look, that chandelier appears to be the chandelier at Ghostface's or at Stu's house. And oh, look, we figured out because of this. They did all this matching and figured out, they're like, that's Melissa Barrera's hand holding the knife. So it looks like she, I'm not saying they were right, but a lot of people right off the bat were like, oh, I think she might be the killer. Looks like she's fucking killing somebody. So yeah, there's just a lot of trouble you can get into when you're doing the freeze framing. But like I said, it's cool. I'm cool with it. I just choose not to do it with stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know, guys. I think it changes everything. I think it certainly changed my perception of what this movie's going to be. And again, nothing to do with like who the killer is or isn't, or is Stu's alive, or whatever. It nothing to do with any of that. I just think in general, seeing those moments of what appears to be Sydney visiting a psychiatric hospital in Fallsbrook really just kind of changed again in my head, like what this movie is going to be. And, it begs the question, like, where is this going to fit into the movie? What importance is it going to have? Are we looking way too deeply into this? Is it literally just somebody that gets attacked in the movie? Maybe one of her daughter's friends, and then she ends up in a psych hospital the next day and is like going crazy. Like, and Sydney goes to visit her to be like, no, it's okay. Like, what is it that? I don't know. But there's a lot of things it could be. Let's see. Any thoughts on what the motive would be? I suspect it'll be a vigilante killer, someone who is well-intentioned extremist. Maybe they want to clean up the town of Fallbrook. I don't know. To me, that's always, of course, I love the mystery of who the killer is, but to me, Scream is always like, all right, we know who the killer is. Now explain, like, what's the motive? Let's see if the motive is clever, or if it's, more of the same, or, something different altogether, believable or not. That's what really excites me about the reveal, is finding out why. I don't know. I honestly don't know. What I talked about on my original live stream, talking about the original Scream 7 trailer when it dropped, I still hold to that, what I said, which was I basically said, I have no idea, but I find it interesting that whoever the killer is and whatever their motive is, part of it seems to be that why are they burning down Stu's house? Why are they doing that? That brings in an interesting question. Like, why would they want to burn it all down? And the killer in this trailer, he says again, the killer says in this new TV spot, he says to Sydney on the phone that, oh no, I've been planning this for a long time. Been planning it for a long time. So this isn't somebody that just, like, oh God, like you killed my sister in New York and now I'm going to kill you. I know Sydney wasn't in the sex one, but you know what I'm saying? It appears that it's certainly not somebody getting revenge for something that recently happened, like very recently happened. It seems like somebody has been planning this for a long time, like they said. Now, how long is a long time? I don't know, because, the freaking movies are about to be 30 years old at this point. So is it somebody that's been planning it since what happened in Scream 1? Have they been planning it since Scream 2? Since the Windsor College murders? Have they been planning it since the Stab 3 murders? Have they been planning it since the second round of Woodsboro murders in 2011? Have they been planning it since the third round of Woodsboro murders in Scream 5? Have they been planning it since I don't know. But again, I definitely think we can rule out. I think we can rule out Scream 5 and 6 as far as like the motive being connected to that. That's what I'll say. And I don't mean that like, oh, that's all I can tell. No, I don't know. I'm just saying, I think the killer stressing like, I've been planning this for a long time. To me, I think that we're not going to get like a Scream 6 motive, which, as everybody knows, was very much like Scream 6 was very much a sequel to Scream 5. And duh, right? It's Scream 5 and Scream 6, but you know what I mean. Like, the motive for the killers in Scream 6 was directly 100% linked to the events of 5, to the point that, you know, there would be no like motive, if that makes sense. There would be no motive for these people to kill if what happened in 5 didn't happen. So yeah, I don't think that Scream 7 is going to be that direct of a sequel to 5 and 6 in the way that 6 was to 5. Meaning, like, oh, us killers in 6, we are doing this because of what you did in the last movie. I don't think we're going to get that again. I think we're going to get something that has to do with something from a long time ago, whether it's events from the first movie, second movie, third movie, could have something to do with all 3. I do find it interesting that, you know, we know Scott Foley and Matthew Lillard are back. Depending on what you believe or not, we know that they are back via artificial intelligence deepfake videos at the very least that the new killer is using to mess with Sydney. So again, why these killers? I don't know. He probably burned the house since people were profiting from the massacre of innocents, and since it was a place of worship, he probably wants to get rid of all the bad stuff and cleanse the town. Yeah, could be. Could be. Stu's sister. I see people throw that around so much, and I always see what's her name? I can't even think of her name. That's people saying, oh, duh, like she got cast in the movie. That's definitely Stu's sister for sure. And she's just pretending. I don't know. I feel like, again, what I've been told, and this is not a spoiler, I promise. What I've been told with confidence by somebody that absolutely knows the ending of this movie. What I've been told is that the motive in this movie is something that we have not seen before in any of the previous Scream films. Like, and what they meant by that was basically they assured me 100%. And again, this is somebody that absolutely is trustworthy. They absolutely know the ending of the movie. And again, I don't know. I please don't tell me, but just answer this. So spoiler free, what I have been told in confidence is that there will not be this movie will not contain a motive where fans will be able to go back and go, oh, it was just like Scream 2, you know, it was like, oh, you know, I'm getting revenge on you because you killed my son, or, you know, oh, I'm Stu's sister and you killed my brother, so I'm getting revenge on you. Like, they assured me that it's nothing like, or, oh, I'm doing this just because I want to be famous. Sounds like I'm making fun of those motives. I'm not. I'm just saying, obviously, we've had them before. Some of them we've had several times. And yeah, I was literally told in confidence that what we can expect is a motive that is fresh and has never been done before in the Scream films. We're not going to be able to look back and go, well, they kind of already did that in 2, or they kind of already did that in 3. They kind of already did that in 4. So if that turns out to be true, awesome. Because I'd love to see a fresh, exciting, and clever motive that hasn't happened before. Let's see. Some people think they had a stunt woman play Ghostface in this one. I can't say I've heard that at all. But again, I tend to avoid like a lot of the 7 discussions in the groups around this time because the movie's getting so close to coming out. So I try to avoid like spoilers if there are any. But I have not heard that anywhere. I do know from the set videos and photos that have leaked thus far, it's been all men, stuntmen that are playing Ghostface. And I also, for reasons I can't get into right now, I have a name. Like, I know who the main Ghostface stunt actor is in Seven, and it's not a woman. I can tell you that. And it's not a spoiler. I can't reveal why I have this name and why I'm so sure. But yet I will be able to. But yeah, the main stuntman, 100% without a doubt, who did probably 80% of the film as Ghostface, is a man. Now, again, as everybody knows, it's never just one guy. It's usually several. So is it possible that they had a woman at some point in the costume? Yeah, it's possible. Totally possible. Heck, there's women stunt people that can do these stunts and you can't even tell it's a woman or a man. That's kind of the whole idea, you know? The whole idea of the robe and the mask is to hide everything about the identity, including if it's a man or a woman. So I'm not saying a woman stunt actress can't be Ghostface. I'm just saying that I haven't heard that, and that I know for a fact that the main stunt actor in Seven is a guy, and that also the various clips and stills from set that have leaked show a male stuntman playing Ghostface. What if Stu's sister's locked up because she lost her son in 5? She's not a killer, but someone they go to. See, I don't think so, because it's the Fallbrook like, why would Stu's sister be like in the psychiatric hospital at the town, in the town that Sydney lives in? That's like the secret. Nobody's supposed to know she's even there. Yeah, I knew there was something else I wanted to talk about. The logo transition at the end of this was awesome, wasn't it, guys? It's like the original Scream lettering, like logo, the original font coming in, like Scream 1, and it's the 7, and then it cracks and it's the new logo. That's really awesome. And I wonder if that's telling, is that a hint at something? Is this for sure going back to the original movie? I don't know. But there absolutely better be a damn good reason why. There better be a good reason why this killer decides, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to burn down Stu's house. So now that structure no longer exists in the Scream canon. Thankfully it still exists in real life, but you know what I mean? Like, it kind of sucks. After this movie, we're going to know, like, oh, they can't use Stu's house anymore in any of the future movies at all, period. It's gone. So yeah, there better be a good reason why the killer does that, and a good reason, and not just because. I don't want the motive to be, or not even the motive. I don't want the reason for the killer using like AI deep fake videos of Stu and Roman and stuff. I don't want the reasoning behind that to be like, just because I could, like, hey, why not? I knew how to do it, and I knew it would mess with you. I don't want it. I want there to be a deeper reason for why they're doing that. I don't want it. Literally, don't want it to be just like oh, here's the killer. Here's my motive. Even if it's a great motive and amazing, we're all blown away. I don't want it to just kind of be like, well, why Stu and why Roman? Why'd you tease me with them or scare me with whatever? I don't want it to just be like, because I can't, you know. I really hope there's something deeper to that. Yeah, that's possible. Maybe the patient Sydney and Gale visit is so screwed in the head they actually think they're the real life Stumacher. That's funny. So is it confirmed the killer is using deepfake AI? I mean, confirmed officially, like official being like shown in a trailer or confirmed 100% by like Kevin Williamson or somebody involved in the movie, like publicly coming out and saying it. No. um Confirmed 100% on the DL, if you get what I'm saying. Like, it's on the DL, but the sources are not questionable whatsoever, then yes, it's been confirmed. So again, take that however you wish. You know, at the end of the day, none of us are going to know until we're planted in that theater seat and watching the movie. But yeah, that I can, and you know, I'm using caution saying it because I don't, if someone doesn't want to know at all, I don't want them to like find out that way. So I'm not going to say anything for sure, but that's the best way I can describe that. Why so many people are, you know, throwing around the deep fake AI thing. You know, there's a reason, and again, it's, if you want to know, has it been officially confirmed publicly? Official, no. But very 100% trusted sources that absolutely know what happens in this movie have confirmed it confidentially, we'll say, you know, to sources. I'm guessing Scott Foley's role is going to either be a flashback or just a picture. I think it's going to be an AI video. And I think if you look at like Scott Foley's, any of the interviews he's done talking about his time like on set, like coming back to a Scream movie, and you know, he does make mention of like, yeah, I mean, I shot what I shot, and you know, I don't know how it's going to work, but hopefully it works. You know, I think that's kind of telling too, because it's, you know, they're likely filming them like talking as their old character, as if they're still alive, but they're actually dead. So it was probably very strange. You know, it was probably a very strange experience for them. What did we say? Says he's gonna get. Says he got to see Nevin, David. Yeah, see, and that's the other thing. Like David Arquette's confirmed as well. I believe we're also getting some AI deepfakes of Dewey, probably to mess with Gale. That one's probably not gonna necessarily be with anybody else but Gale. But which returning character do you think will be used most of the deepfake? I think Stu for sure. I think it would have been a waste to bring Matthew back if it was just like one little, you know, clip. No, that was a guy, that was a stunt guy that looked like him. That was not him. They're talking about this video. Yeah, mine, bro. Don't. Yeah, no. There was a set video that leaked. It's very brief. It's like 10 seconds. It's basically 10 seconds behind the scenes of the Sydney's daughter being attacked in Sydney's like coffee shop. It was basically like 10-15 seconds of that, and it's just people on the crew like setting stuff up. Well, we all know Ghostface is in that scene, and a gentleman who looks somewhat similar to Scott Foley, who just happens to be one of the stuntmen who played Ghostface, is seen walking through the shot, walking through the behind the scenes with no mask on and just the robe. And everybody was, because it's kind of grainy, like cell phone footage. The lighting's not great, so everybody just was like, "It's Scott Foley, it's Roman in the costume." It's not Roman, it's one of the stuntmen, and it's no spoiler whatsoever. It's just a quick behind the scenes of that. There was what sounded like AI Dewey audio in the trailer, sounded like he was talking to Sitter Gal. Yeah. See, that's I think we're going to get Stu deepfake AI. I think we're gonna get Dewey. I think we're gonna get Roman. I think we might get Jill. I think that's possible. And I know we are for sure 100% fact getting one more that has yet to have been announced, but I know 100% that they filmed their whatever, their segment, their scene, their AI thing or whatever for the movie, and it's still not announced, still hasn't leaked yet. I'm shocked it hasn't leaked. To my knowledge, it hasn't leaked. But yeah, it'll be, if this movie gets to come out with this not leaking ahead of time, people are going to be like, no way. So yeah, that'll be really cool. There was a bunch of Ghostface stuntmen in that set video, which is interesting to me. Yeah, I think there were a couple. But again, I don't necessarily think that indicates like multiple Ghostface in the same shot or in the same scene like we had with 6. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I think it was honestly just, like I said, there's typically more than one person playing Ghostface as far as a stuntman goes. So there's probably multiple guys on set, like with the robes on, like ready to go. And a lot of times it's a big long thing to get into, but like for example with Scream 4, like the reason they use so many stand-ins as Ghostface for non-stunts, they would pull like Skip or JP or somebody and just put them in the costume, have them stand there or whatever. They would do things like that. The reason they would do that is because Dane's expensive. Like the main stunt person's expensive, and if they can get away with not using him to walk down a sidewalk, well, shit, fine. They'll pull someone off set or have some other stand-in go in and do it, so they don't have to pay like through the nose for the stuntman to just walk down a sidewalk. Favorite stuntman that played Ghostface? I would say Brian Avery in Scream 3 does a phenomenal job. And I'd say next to that would be, I really think the guy, his name's escaping me right now, but the guy that did most of the work in 5, I thought was great. I thought Ghostface was very, very kind of, it was more reminiscent of like the way Ghostface moved around in like the original Scream. But yeah, Brian Avery for sure. Yeah, Keith Ward. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I think he did a great job. I know some people don't, but hey, whatever. I just think he moved very similar to some of the early Ghostface stuff in Scream 1. And I really liked that a lot. What else? Okay. Also, random question. All right, I'll answer this question, and then we will close this out because we've already been on for an hour and a half. Holy crap. Time flies. Random question. Is there a reason why in Scream 4 Jill's hood looks so floppy when she attacks Sydney? I thought they had used a cheaper robe for that scene. I don't recall it looking floppy, but I do recall it, being a little bit large. I think it's just because, Emma Roberts is a very small person, and they likely, for whatever reason, didn't pull the strings completely tight to make the hood like smaller. Maybe that's as small as it could have got. I do know that the costume that Emma wears in that shot was made for her specifically because she's such a small person. However, it was made in accordance to her height, not necessarily anything else. So, like, for example, the Ghostface like gloves on those costumes and the hood are naturally like big and baggy, and the robe is big and baggy. They kept all that the same. They basically just made a shorter costume because she's very short, and they didn't want her tripping over it. And actually, there's a shot in the movie when Ghostface is on the roof of Kirby's house when he's following Sydney on the roof. There's a very quick shot of Ghostface kind of taking a step towards her, and it's a full body shot of him on the roof. And you can see that the robe only goes down to the guy's knees. That's because it was not a stuntman. Again, they didn't use Dane for that scene. They pulled Skip from props and put the robe on him, and they made him wear Jill's robe because they didn't want one of the regular robes and him to trip on it on the roof. So he's wearing the robe that was made for Jill in that shot, and you can tell it's made for Jill because it's very short on him. So that's the answer, I would assume. Her head just looks tiny in that hood because it's a big hood and she's a small person. They probably should have cast taller actors. Well, I mean, the actors' heights have typically never matched up to the stuntman playing Ghostface, as we know. I do understand that it's a very big height difference for those people. They did try to get around it with, having Emma wear like high heels and Charlie's boots, not Ghostface's boots, but Charlie's boots that he wears throughout the film and in the finale. They are like those height boots where they've got like this much inside, like hidden inside. So the boot's like here and your foot's actually up here. So it doesn't look like it has a big thick sole, but your foot's actually like way up there. So yeah, they tried to get around as much as they did. And I know I've told this story before, and there's footage of it out there somewhere. I know. I've seen I wish I could find it. There's a photo that I had of it. But they originally filmed a shot of the reveal when Jill takes the robe off. She has like football pads on underneath the robe, which she quickly takes off and tosses to the side. But it was like kind of a way to show like, oh, surprise, it's Jill, but you would never know because I was wearing these football pads to make myself look bigger. blah 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 blah. I know they shot a version of the reveal with those football pads for Jill, and the reason Wes was like, this is Wes ended up. It was funny. The story I'm told is that Wes wanted it in the film because he was like, people aren't going to believe that these short, little, tiny teenagers are the killers, and then everybody's like, the killers were teenagers in the first one. You know, like what's the difference? And well, I think we should try to explain the height difference this time because it's so big. So they did do that shot per Wes's request of Jill having football pads on under the robe. And then after they shot it, he's like, nope, let's do it without. This is stupid. He's like, why would the killer? So he was thinking more in lines of the character. He wasn't thinking like, well, this is stupid because it's just dumb. People are going to laugh. He was thinking of the killer. He was like, why would the killer wear football pads to look taller to you when they're trying to kill you? What's it matter if they can tell how tall you are? You're not going to live. They're killing you. Why would they need to change their height to kill you? So they filmed another take without the football pads, and that's what was used, obviously. But there's footage out there somewhere. And like I said, I've seen, which means I very likely somewhere on some old computer or hard drive somewhere have a photo, a behind the scenes photo of Emma in the costume holding a knife, and you can see the football pads underneath the robe. So there's that. Okay. All right, guys. I'm gonna check out here real quick. It's been an hour and a half. And yeah, this was awesome. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. I love talking to everybody. And yeah, I guess let's keep an eye out for Thursday because supposedly we're getting the full trailer Thursday. I don't know that for sure. No idea. I know as much as you guys do. And yeah, keep an eye out for Friday. You know, I'll try to announce when I'm gonna do the mask video, but I don't know for sure. Like I said, I'm not going to do it. It's not going to interfere with Tim's video. I will not stream during Tim's stream. So we will see when I get the information and you know what's what on Friday, but look out for that Friday. I will do a live and I will reveal as much as I possibly can about the 30th anniversary mask. So keep an eye out for that, guys. All right. It's been fun. We'll see you guys on the next one.